Chairman. Thank you all, gentlemen, for your time here today. And I really appreciate the work that you all do on behalf of the hundreds of thousands of young men and women that put their faith in their leadership, their chain of command to take care of them, and you all do that magnificently. For sake of time, I do want to dive a little bit into retention and recruitment. I brought this up in previous hearings in past years. The Army and the Marines, both of our sergeant majors addressed it. So just for sake of time, I'll limit to you two. But Sergeant Major Ruiz, Marine Corps, it looks like everything is going very well from what you were just sharing there, but you exceeded your 2024 goals and retention, which, as we know, retention is just as important as bringing them in. If we can't keep them, then we're going to have problems down the line. And then so far through fiscal year 25, you're at 98% of first-term retention and 108 in subsequent. So sounds like you've got everything going well. If there's more to that, I'd love to come back and hear what still may concern you. But Sergeant Major Weimer, I want to dive a little bit more into your testimony. You had shared that you had a goal for fiscal year 24 of 55,000. You all finished the year at 55,150. So you squeaked that one over the goal line, which sounds good. But on closer look, you also shared that the retention was 52,289 for fiscal year 24. I'm not sure what the goal was, but the goal for 25 is 54,800. So I don't know if you were short of the mark on the retention. But, there was a military.com article last month, and I understand it's the press, and trust me, there's a lot of things that the press doesn't always get right, and I see it day to day, but I want to share a little of that and just kind of get your comment on it. The article was titled, "The Army is Losing 1/4 of Soldiers in the First 2 Years of Enlistment." So pretty big drop-off after we get them in the door. They further unpack that, and there's conversation about the pool of eligible recruits out there. We get that. We've had these conversations here before. Only 23% of 17 to 24-year-olds are eligible to serve in our military. Only 8% are eligible for a clean enlistment. That scares the heck out of me, that 92% of kids in America couldn't serve in the military even if they wanted to. But within the Army last year, waivers doubled from 8,400 in 2022 to 17,900 last year, so more than double the waivers. Most of those were medical waivers. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that. Were these fitness standards? Was it obesity? Or there are other underlying conditions? I know that there's a greater ability to find out a recruit's medical history now coming in that we may not have had before. If they'd lied to you before, that you weren't going to find out until it manifested. But concerning to me, last year there were 1,045 that were recruited, that were brought in with misdemeanor waivers. But worse than that, 401 with felony convictions, which was 4 times the amount from 2022. I do appreciate that none of those were for sexual violence, but one question I'm curious, what kind of convicted felons are we allowing in? And how do you explain that to moms and dads whose sons and daughters are going off to know they're going to be sharing the bunks with convicted felons? That's kind of not what we promise in the recruiting commercials. But how do we make the argument that we're not lowering standards if we barely squeak by the goal and we see the number of people who haven't traditionally met the standards, or bringing in criminals? So I'll stop there and give you a chance to unpack that a little bit for me.
Thank you, Congressman, for that. There's a lot there. I'll try to touch on a little bit of all of it. We met our goal last year. We absolutely did. Future Soldier Prep was an important part of that. But not everybody that goes to Future Soldier Prep passes Future Soldier Prep. I think it's important to understand the standard hasn't changed. Future Soldier Prep gives our sons and daughters, I have to be careful how I say that, it's our sons and daughters, an opportunity to potentially serve, because based off of blame COVID, blame something, they just didn't have the propensity that we've had in the past. I don't want to be too accusative there to our sons and daughters, but that has been incredibly successful. But they don't all make it out of Future Soldier Prep. But we do invest in them and then send them home. To the felony comment, because I want to make sure I don't run out of time on that one, I'll take that one for the record, because that one's new to me. But military.com
I'm just reporting what
was
was in the article, but that's what they said. Basically, your felony.
Yeah.
It was quadruple what it had been 2 years before. Okay.
I'll take that one. That one stings a little more than the rest of that, because I agree with you, especially with a daughter that'll be commissioned here in 2 years. This year's mission, just as U.S. Army Recruiting Command says, we're crushing this year. We raised it to 61,000, and we are exceeding where we were last year, on goal to surpass our recruiting mission of 61, with potentially one of the largest depths, delayed entry, just like my Air Force teammate down here, one of the largest delayed entries we've seen in decades. So recruiting's going really well right now. I'll finish with retention. Retention is not about contracts. For us in the Army, we met our retention goal of over 114% last year. We don't set 100% of retention as a goal for us. We set a very specific mission and then evaluate ourselves. Not all soldiers are going to make it through their first term. That is just statistically factual, decades of data.
I've been to Captain's Mast enough with young sailors to know that too. So
yes, and it's okay. It's not always UCMJ that gets young troopers either. Sometimes it's just the lifestyle in the military is just not for them. We help them transition out. But I will say the first and second year comments in that article, the statistics are no different than anything we've seen in the past. Okay. So it is not a future soldier prep new data point seeing first-time soldiers fail at a higher rate.
All right, I appreciate that. And for all of you, if as we see these retention or the recruitment numbers going up, let's do make sure that if there have been places like high school education, other things where we've made concessions in the past, we know historically that doesn't work well in the long run. I'd love to see us tighten those standards back up again. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.